on today's episode of Timeless Wisdom.
The believer in God has to account for the existence of one thing: evil and suffering. The atheist has to account for the existence of everything else. That's big. It has served in my life at moments of doubt to be a very, very persuasive argument.
That's coming up on Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager.
We live in a time where the moment you question the narrative, you're told to stop thinking and start complying. That's why what Angel is doing matters. With eye-opening documentaries like Thank You, Dr. Fauci and RFK Legacy, Angel is willing to explore the issues others avoid. In a culture shaped by gatekeepers, Angel offers something rare, a platform for truth-seeking storytelling that isn't constrained by fear or conformity. Go to angel.com/Prager, join the Angel Guild, and watch these films today.
Welcome to Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. Hear thousands of hours of Dennis's lectures, courses, and classic radio programs. And to purchase Dennis Prager's Rational Bibles, go to DennisPrager.com.
I like two sexes. Yeah, and another thing, all of a sudden I don't like being married to what is known as a new woman. I want a wife, not a competitor. Competitor.
Talk about a bit, this crying in the morning thing, this depression, you know, let's get that fixed.
That's what men think, isn't it?
What?
Unless you've got the answer, unless you can say, oh, I know this bloke in the Essex Road who could fix that, then there's no point bothering.
How do you rate women so well?
I think of a man, and I take away reason and accountability.
I love him, and I don't care what you think. I love him for the man he wants to be, and I love him for the man that he almost is.
What do people have rows about?
Money, sex, money. He wants, she doesn't want.
She wants, he doesn't want.
Women have always been a big problem to me, Dr. Fussbend. Are you listening, Doctor?
Yes, go on.
Every week, that last one just brings this big smile to my face. I find that so cute, so funny. Hi, everybody. This is the Male-Female Hour on the Dennis Prager Show. Every week, this hour is devoted to the subject of men and women. And sometimes, by the way, we get into very difficult, very painful areas, and sometimes very adult areas, and then I warn people that little kids should not be listening. This is not that case today. Everybody should be listening today on this subject that I have, and it will still get into painful areas. In fact, it's almost superfluous to say that talking about male-female issues, you get into painful areas. There are so many painful areas between the sexes. And that is the way it is, because they have very different natures, and sometimes they coincide, and sometimes they don't. Anyway, welcome. I'm Dennis Prager, and this is indeed the subject today, and that is I would like to make, and I will indeed make, the case for marriage for men. So this should interest two groups out there, men and women. The case for marriage for men. Because a lot of men argue, what do I need this for? It goes against my nature. The male nature is not monogamous. Women's nature is far more monogamous. Whether you believe in divine or evolutionary creation, the female is with her one egg and her pregnancy and her nest-making nature, much more driven to creating a stable one-person home. She is not sexually driven to every male body that walks along the way, and the male is the opposite. Never gets pregnant, never has the consequences built in of pregnancy, is out there to inseminate, biologically speaking, not morally speaking, to inseminate as many females as possible for the sake of of the reproduction of the population. Just look at the animal kingdom. I remember when I had 40 chickens, about 10 of whom were roosters and 30 were hens. And the roosters spent the day jumping on top of hens. And the hens spent the day running away from roosters. That was basically the life of the chicken. And that really summarizes a male-female. That's why I call this the male-female hour, not the man-woman hour. It's about men and women, but I call it male-female because I want to go to the deepest part of the natures of the two sexes. So, for so many reasons, the case, by the way, has to be made to a lot of young women, too, today, because they have been so brainwashed, and I can only use that word, against their own natures. Oh, it's a patriarchal institution, and by the way, I will do that. I will address that issue vis-a-vis young women in another edition, if you will, of the male-female hour, or even today if you want to raise it in a question to me. But men have to be persuaded. Men have to be persuaded, and our societies, in fact, every civilization worthy of the name civilization, has been successful in persuading, even cajoling men into getting married. And one of the ways they do it, and this is going to be one of my arguments for guys to get married, is it makes you a man. There are a number of battles that we males fight with ourselves. And I'll give you two of them that we should engage in. One is the battle to be a perpetual boy. That is our nature. Society and values, and especially religion, tell us to be men and not boys. And by the way, with the collapse of what we call Judeo-Christian values in American society, a lot of men do not battle their instinct to stay boys. Hugh Hefner is a classic example. Maybe a wonderfully nice guy, that's not my point, but he is, in most men's eyes, a boy. Now, a lot of men think he's a lucky boy. That's a separate issue for another time. It's interesting, they're doing a documentary. They're making a documentary on Hugh Hefner's life, and they've invited me to be one of those. I have to call them, in fact. Let's remind me. And I will be one of those interviewed. And I will make this point that without commenting on whether he's a nice guy or not, I have no way of knowing either way. He is, in my eyes, an old boy. And that is true. It's not because of his age. If he were 40, I'd say he was an older boy. And it's a life of toys, parties, and girls. There's a time for toys, parties, and girls. It's when you're a boy. And so that is one of the battles that men have in life. Do I want to remain a perpetual boy, or do I want to become a man? For the vast majority, there is almost nothing true for every single human. I think the Pope, though he has not married, is not a boy. I do not look at the Pope as a boy. I regard him as a full-fledged man. But, of course, he's not spending his life on girls, toys, and games. Okay? So, and parties, I should say. That was the third one. So of course, there are exceptions. But overwhelmingly, what transforms us from boy to man is a woman. Is commitment to a woman. Not just having a woman. It's no, 10,000 times no. It's commitment to a woman, and the way in which a man commits is through marriage in the final analysis. So that is one battle that men, if you want to be a man, and increasingly there are many who don't, because there's no price paid, because there's no stigma. No stigma attached to being a perpetual boy. There was in American life and in Western life until very recently, but the age of stupidity, ushered in by the baby boomers in the 60s and 70s, has removed that stigma. indeed often often rewarded such men. The other battle, the first is versus the battle against my being a perpetual boy. The second for men is the battle against their being just a male. I'll put it to you in a very simple way about men and miniskirts. This is what I have often said. The male in me loves them, the man in me doesn't. And that in a nutshell is the difference between male and man. Now, you want your man to retain his male instinct. You don't want him to drop that entirely. Then he becomes a feminized man. Now, there are some women who think that that's what they want, but when they actually have to live with one, there's a certain anxiety that builds in them because he's not really fully man. A man includes male, but a man who only remains a male and not a man is not a man, is not worthy of being regarded as such. So men have the battle with their maleness. The battle, though, is not to get rid of it any more than you should fully get rid of the boyness in you. That live wire, fun-loving, freedom-loving part. You just have to learn how to channel it, and a woman has to know how she can live with it and help you with that. So it's an issue of channeling it. 1-8-PRAGER-776. I am making the case for marriage for men here, and it all leads to one great conclusion that I will bring to you when we come back on the Man-Woman Hour, the Male-Female Hour on the Dennis Prager Show.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
We live in a time where the moment you question the narrative, you're told to stop thinking and start complying. That's why what Angel is doing matters. With eye-opening documentaries like Thank You, Dr. Fauci and RFK Legacy, Angel is willing to explore the issues others avoid. In a culture shaped by gatekeepers, Angel offers something rare, a platform for truth-seeking storytelling that isn't constrained by fear or conformity. Go to angel.com/Prager, join the Angel Guild, and watch these films today.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
Prager it is. This is the Male-Female Hour. Every week at this time, an hour devoted to issues related to men and women. And sometimes they get very tender and difficult because I really try to address every difficult issue with regard to the sexes. And sometimes, in fact, I tell you kids shouldn't listen. This is not one of those cases, at least the latter part. It's still a difficult issue. The case for why guys should get married, because it so runs against male nature to commit a whole life to a woman. And therefore, I am making that case. And I talked about the man versus boy and man versus male issue that every one of us guys have. I have to, there's a part of me being any male, that wishes to be a perpetual boy. Basically, toys, parties, and girls. And there is a part of every man that just wants to be male and not a man. All right, so let me take some of your calls because it all leads up to this. And here's the punchline. Do you want to be a man? If you do, in all but a handful of exceptional cases, like a Roman Catholic priest, let's say. Although there are undoubtedly priests, I'm sure priests would tell me that there are priests who don't grow up. I'm sure that exists. But I would be wrong from my own experience, knowing that there are priests who have surely become men, but it's hardly lack of commitment that is a problem there. They are committed. They don't live a life of toys, parties, and girls. All right, 1-8-PRAGER-776, 1-8-PRAGER-776. And we have some very good calls here. Don't, if you got through, do stay on. And we begin with Philadelphia and Eddie. Hi, Eddie. Dennis Prager. Thanks for calling.
Hi, no, thank you, Mr. Prager. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you.
I wrestle with the inner boy in me all the time, and so I thought, it was good of you to bring it up, that I have a lot of hobbies, two in particular, collecting comic books and playing video games that I've had since I was prepubescent. And, I've definitely had to limit myself as an adult and how much time and money I invest in these hobbies.
Are you married?
No, I'm in a committed relationship. And
so why you've had to limit yourself because you've had to make a living?
Well, because yes, I have to make a living, and I want to. Some of my energies I want to focus into, maybe greater professional pursuits.
Yeah. Okay. So it's been professional reasons, not female related reasons.
Professional, financial, maybe some female related.
Okay, go on.
And I get a lot of comments from family and other random people about it's time for you to stop reading comic books, or time for you to stop playing video games, and I often rebut that. Well, I don't look at my hobbies as any different than a lot of men's hobbies, like sports or cars or any number of other hobbies. And I was wondering if, when you say that we have to, to become a man, sort of rest boy in us, does that mean giving up some of those hobbies?
Well, it means giving up some of the time, but it doesn't mean giving up the hobby. And a woman who loves her man, who has hobbies, knows that, and may even, if he wants, participate with him. Most women are not interested in video games, so that's pretty much a non-starter. But a woman who loved you, you would work out that, look, honey, I am yours and everything, but I want my hour to play a video game every day, and then she should let you do so, in my opinion.
I'm actually really lucky in that regard. My girlfriend and I, despite having different hobbies, she's really understanding about my hobbies.
Right. Well, you got to make sure it lasts. This is another issue for another time, and that is all of the wonderful things people say prior to marriage that tend to go by the wayside afterwards on some occasions. I mean, it just happens. It's like people may be non-moody before marriage and then be rather moodier afterwards. In fact, one subject that I was talking to somebody about that would fascinate me, because it happened in a case, not in my case. So that when people say it happened to a friend, sometimes they mean themselves, as not me. But I wonder if this is at all common that the person you marry changes within the first year, radically changes. It's an interesting question that I wonder how often it's happened. But anyway, that's a totally separate subject for another time. Now, I will say this at the outset, and I intellectually, I think I'm wrong. My gut thinks I'm right. That video games and guys, you do associate with younger men. There are hobbies you don't associate with boys only, and there are hobbies that you do associate with boys only. I mean, if I would find it funny if I saw my father playing a video game. Now, why? So that's that. So there, he raised a specific there. It's one I have to think about more. But in general, guys, yes, a woman you love, and if you love your woman, you have your hobbies. You don't give up everything you loved when you marry. Don't think of it that way, and women should not think of it that way. All right, Louisville, Kentucky, and Cornell. Dennis Prager. Hi, Cornell.
Hi, Dennis. My question pertains to you saying that a relationship, a committed long-term relationship with a woman, makes a man a man. What about a man who has a relationship with a man, committed, long-term, especially in light of the recent ruling out in California? Will he never become a man?
It's a very powerful question, and I have struggled with that a great deal. There are the first, commitment in and of itself helps a boy become a man. So that's why I didn't, after all, that's why I purposely didn't rule out Catholic priests, right? Because they, by definition, can't commit to a woman. So, but as I said, there are those who do and there are those who don't grow up. And there are gay men who committed to a man and grow up. But, it's harder. And I want you to stay on. Are you gay?
No, I'm not.
All right, I want you to stay on, though. This is I've given this thought, and there's more to my answer, because there are challenges that are specific to gays, and this is one of them. It can be surmounted, absolutely, but it is a challenge, and I'll explain why when we come back.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
We live in a time where the moment you question the narrative, you're told to stop thinking and start complying. That's why what Angel is doing matters. With eye-opening documentaries like Thank You, Dr. Fauci, and RFK, Legacy, Angel is willing to explore the issues others avoid. In a culture shaped by gatekeepers, Angel offers something rare, a platform for truth-seeking storytelling that isn't constrained by fear or conformity. Go to angel.com/Prager, join the Angel Guild, and watch these films today.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
All right, you're listening to the Dennis Prager Show. Actually, now that I think of it, I didn't really need to keep Cornell on. I'm just going to answer the question. So forgive me, Cornell. And anyway, you really just wanted a response. He asked a very good question. This is the male-female hour. Every week at this hour, I have an hour on men and women. And I'm making the case for marriage for men, and I'm speaking about how boys become men when they commit to a woman. So he asked the obvious question, well, what about a man who doesn't commit to a woman but commits to a man, or a gay men in general? And this is is honest and perhaps wrong-headed, I acknowledge, response, but as honest as I can give. A gay man can certainly be a man and not a boy. I mean, that's a given. And there are, obviously. However, because they don't commit to a woman, by definition, I think that there are greater obstacles before a gay man growing up from boy to man than there are for a straight guy who commits to a woman. So, because it's not just commitment. After all, there are single straight guys who are committed to jobs, right? Very, very responsible in their jobs. But they didn't grow up. Hugh Hefner has been very responsible as publisher of Playboy. But I don't see him as a man. I see him as a boy. So it is again, the boy is toys, parties, girls. Now, for a gay guy, it could be toys, parties, guys. And for very, very many gay men, it is toys, parties, guys. In fact, advertisers know that. They know that the richest, the most spending on consumer goods subgroup in America are gays, especially gay men. Because they spend a lot on themselves. On cars, on photographic and stereo equipment, on trips, on hotels, on furniture or whatever. And so a gay man can, of course, become a man as opposed to the boy, but because it's not a commitment to a woman, it is a bigger challenge. Well, and it would begin obviously with some commitment, and not going. If he goes from man to man or boy to boy, then obviously it's the same as a heterosexual guy going from girl to girl, which, by the way, is a gay man's nature to go from man to man to man to man, which is the proof. Whenever people say, "Well, the reason that men go seek a lot of women is because of societal influence," I said, "Well, really? Then how do you explain gay men?" The gay men and gay women are the proofs of the difference of male and female sexual nature. They are the living proof. And so it is a bigger challenge for a gay man not to live the life of a boy, but it can be done. And that's the most honest answer that I can give. And it was a great question, Cornell, and I thank you for that. And let us go. I'm talking again to all of you about the case for marriage for men. 1-8-PRAGER-776, 1-8-PRAGER 776, Denver, Colorado. Charles, this is Dennis Prager. Thank you for calling.
Hi, Dennis. Pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you.
I was noticing, listening to the conversation, about 9 years ago, I left my hometown, I got married, and when I now go back to visit my old friends who haven't been married, they have been so far less so much more unproductive over the last 9 years. They're essentially the same people they were when I left at age 21.
That's a great phrase. Essentially the same people, just older.
And all their time and resources are spent so much on chasing after or impressing women. While being married, I've been able to travel, I've been able to get an education, I've been able to read and volunteer.
That's right.
It's been incredible.
I don't think, and here, thank you, that was a great call, Charles. I don't think that there is a man listening, even if you've had a lousy marriage, who will deny that you are maturer today because you were married. I don't think there is one who could say, I got less mature after I married. 1-8-PRAGER-776, the male-female hour on the Dennis Prager Show. Dennis Prager here. This is the male-female hour. Every week, this hour is devoted to the subject of men and women. I'm making the case for men why to get married, given men's nature, which is not monogamous. Why would a guy get married? And I'm surprised nobody called in and said, well, you know, one reason that guys don't get married is, well, yes, that's true, they don't want to commit and all this, and it's more fun, theoretically, being single. But also, you know, there's so much divorce anyway. You hear that a lot. But if you don't raise it, I won't respond. Anyway, that one would apply to both men and women. There's a 50-50 chance I'll divorce anyway, a lot of people say. Whether they're statistically right or not is not my point. That's what they say. And, of course, I've always found that to be a non sequitur. I don't find that related to the original proposition. Because, first of all, even if you do divorce, it is better to have been married. There are people who differ with me on that, and I respect that. But since I believe that marriage matures you, and maturing is a major, major value in life, then obviously I'm for it. Let's go to more of your calls. 1-8-PRAGER-776, 877-243-7776. Cleveland, Ohio. John. Hello, John. Dennis Prager.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you for calling.
I guess the point I wanted to make is take a little bit of exception about the purpose of marriage. I often agree with Ann Coulter, but this is one case I'm going to take exception. If I asked you the purpose of eating, you would say nutrition, right? And yet good eating habits make for better nutrition. Well, the purpose of marriage is to bring children into the world, to start families. And so making men out of boys certainly makes for better families and a better environment for raising the children, but it's not the purpose of the marriage. The purpose of the marriage is to bring children into the world.
Yeah, but I'm arguing, I'm not making the case for having children. I will, that's another subject for another time. I think people should have children, and in fact, the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned. When good people have a lot of children, the world is made better.
But then now the exceptions, to a male-female marriage start to make sense if you say, well, it's not about commitment, and it's not about loving relationships. Ultimately, it's about families. And
all right. Well,
way for a gay relationship to bring children into the world, so it's by definition not a marriage.
Right. Wait. There are two separate issues here. I'm making the case to men why they should get married, and you're telling me it's the best way to bring children into the world.
And I always wanted to be a dad, so I wanted to get married.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. I agree with you. If you want to be a dad, you should get married. You're right. But I'm trying to persuade guys. I'm not trying to persuade guys to be dads right now. I'm persuading them to get married. And there are a lot of people who want to get married who already have children. Let's say they're divorced. Tens of millions of people already have children. They don't want more children. Should they not get married? There are many people, many women out there are beyond childbearing age. Should they not have? Or men who shouldn't be having children? I don't agree with having children when you're 70. All right? I mean, men who do, they do. That's it. It's not a crusade I'm fighting against or that I'm fighting to oppose that. But there is an age where I think people shouldn't be parents anymore. Be that as it may, I am making the case not for dadhood. I'm very precise on these things. I may be precisely wrong, but I'm very precise. The argument is, why should a man get married? Why should a man get married and have children is another argument. That's not the one I'm making. And it is, first and foremost, and even biblically, when I have a feeling that my caller comes from a religious background, it says, therefore a man shall leave his mother and his father and cling unto his wife and be as one flesh. That is a divine, those who believe that there were divine statements, it is a divine statement in Genesis. It doesn't say, therefore a man shall leave his mother and father and cling as to his wife and have children, and they shall be as one flesh. There is an end in itself in bonding for a man, there is an end in itself in bonding with a woman. It is not merely a vehicle to children. That's the argument that I am making. And let's go to let's stay in Cleveland, Ohio. And Randy. Hello, Randy.
Hi there, long-time listener, and Joe, you probably agree with you 90% of the time. And when I disagree, it is mostly about relationships.
Okay.
I think you have somewhat of a Currier and Ives objective to the result. And I was listening to you. I didn't hear the first half hour, but it takes a marriage to make a man from a boy. I'm thinking of all the married friends that I have and the single friends. And I think a lot of the married guys are boys because they can't cook and they can't clean, and their mama packs their clothes when they travel. And I look at my single friends, who are many of them are motivated, and they do far more things. So this is, and I sit back and admire, both sides, but I think a whole lot more of the married guys envy the single guys than the opposite, having had both.
I take it you're single.
I have been for 19 years. I was married for 14.
Okay, all right. No. Why I assumed you're single because I think there's a certain defense of your own status involved in what you said, which is fine. I don't believe for a nanosecond that your single friends are maturer than your married friends. I just don't believe it, Randy. The fact that they pack their own clothing, their single friends, that has now become a criterion or characteristic of manhood is a statement of the low level to which manhood has sunk. I mean, I happen to like packing my own stuff, but that's beside the point. I will say, in fact, a guy who has a woman pack his thing may be very manly. I think it's a terrific thing. I think it's magnificent. I mean, that's a very odd criterion for what makes a man. A man is made by being responsible for a woman. That is the single biggest thing in being a man. The single biggest. There are many other things. That's why the Pope is a man. But that's the biggest. Back in a moment, I'm Dennis Prager.
This episode of Timeless Wisdom will continue right after this.
We live in a time where the moment you question the narrative, you're told to stop thinking and start complying. That's why what Angel is doing matters. With eye-opening documentaries like Thank You, Dr. Fauci and RFK Legacy, Angel is willing to explore the issues others avoid. In a culture shaped by gatekeepers, Angel offers something rare, a platform for truth-seeking storytelling that isn't constrained by fear or conformity. Go to angel.com/Prager, join the Angel Guild, and watch these films today.
Now, back to more of Dennis Prager's Timeless Wisdom.
You might want to play this for, if you're a woman dating a guy and you want to marry and he's ambivalent about commitment, you might want to play in this hour. Go to PragerRadio.com and you can get any of my shows, obviously, and certainly this one. I've been making the case for guys about the fighting against our desire to be a perpetual boy, and that a man is made a man beyond anything else by commitment to a woman. And ask any guy who has done so, are you mature today? All right, let me take Fort Worth, Texas, and Michael. Michael, Dennis Prager, hi.
Hey, Dennis, big fan.
Great. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. As a young adult, I just wanted to comment on that. I'm single and productive as well. And, you know, I do feel that sometimes you have people that are my age and kind of get stagnant, and it's kind of they're older but doing the same thing. But at the same time, I don't want to rush off and get married just to prove that I'm mature, you know?
No, I agree. Of course not. But it is one of the things that happens, and if you want to be a man, and if that is a goal, you should get married. That doesn't mean that you stand on the street, say, want to be mature, looking for a female, come over.
Right.
You know, obviously, you're right. You want to love the person that you are growing into manhood with. I agree with you.
Right. Sometimes I feel like young people kind of look for that to, I don't know, maybe subsidize something that's not right in their life, you know?
Yeah.
And at sometimes, and let me know what you think, I mean, that can be kind of a bad way to go about it. Anyway, I'll hang up. Thank you, though.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's true. By the way, that's another subject. The whole love question. I'm going to deal with that on another case, Michael. Thank you. That's a great subject that you just gave me. All right, I want to deal with this one in San Antonio with Joe because I know some men in this position, and I want to make a positive statement. Go ahead, Joe, in San Antonio. Dennis Prager.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi.
I was feeding the baby and listening, and so I may have missed exactly what you said, but I thought you said that nothing will make a man more than
commitment to a woman.
Well, I thought you said caring for, and I didn't know if you meant taking care of, being the care.
Oh, I see.
And
well, that's right.
I
you're the house.
Work, but we decided that I should stay home with the baby.
Yes, you're still taking care of the home, the family, and a woman. You just happen not to be the check earner. That's okay. That's fine. In fact, I've often said I could much more easily run the house than do 50-50 with a wife. The egalitarian 50-50 ideal causes more fights and probably breakups than almost anything else. But the guy who is the full-time taking care of the kids in the home, I bless you guys. How do you like that? Okay? And I'm into manhood, and that doesn't compromise it. You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show. This has been the Male-Female Hour.
Tomorrow on Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager.
One of the funniest movies ever made in any language, on any planet, in any universe. Airplane. So who do we have in studio? This is really a special hour, folks. We have in studio the writers, the producers, the directors, the Zucker brothers, and Jim Abrams, who made this. I'll ask you the obvious. Does it seem like 30 years? Does it seem like 30 days? Does it seem like a century? I mean, you're sitting here. This put you guys in the center of Hollywood and the world.
Join us tomorrow to hear more on Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. This has been Timeless Wisdom with Dennis Prager. Visit DennisPrager.com for thousands of hours of Dennis's lectures, courses, and classic radio programs, and to purchase Dennis Prager's Rational Bibles.
We live in a time where the moment you question the narrative, you're told to stop thinking and start complying. That's why what Angel is doing matters. With eye-opening documentaries like Thank You, Dr. Fauci and RFK Legacy, Angel is willing to explore the issues others avoid. In a culture shaped by gatekeepers, Angel offers something rare, a platform for truth-seeking storytelling that isn't constrained by fear or conformity. Go to angel.com/Prager, join the Angel Guild, and watch these films today.